On Trende of Real Clear Politics. He is really one of the finest political analysts in the United States. Hello, Sean. Welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show. Great to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
I know that you have written recently that the election depends on the trajectory of the economy and the epidemic, and I largely agree with that. I wanted to ask you about a different trajectory. 3 weeks ago, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien hit China hard. 2 weeks ago, Christopher Wray hit China hard. Yesterday, Attorney General Barr gave the hardest hitting speech yet about China at the Ford Library. And next week, Secretary Pompeo is going to the Nixon Library in Yorba Linda to give what is the fourth in a four series of speeches about China. Will China matter at all? The understanding that Donald Trump has achieved in the United States that they are our adversary in Cold War 2.0, will that matter, Sean, in the election?
Indirectly. So foreign policy generally doesn't matter that much in elections unless you have an actual war going on. Now, trying to elevate this to Cold War 2.0 might work. The big thing, though, what I think this is all from a campaign strategy meant to set up is the charge that Biden is tied to China. So it's kind of a two-step approach. Point out the horrible things that China has done, tie Biden to it, portray him as a swamp creature in general.
Interesting, because these four speeches, I don't know what Secretary Pompeo is going to say at the Nixon Library next week on the 50th anniversary of Kissinger's secret diplomacy. I have no idea. I expect it will be of a piece with O'Brien, Wray, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of State capping it off. But I haven't heard any political comments about Biden in any of these speeches. I really think that even if there wasn't a presidential election, after China unleashed this virus on the world, it kind of broke any restraint people had, any hope for actually achieving a lasting détente without first confronting China, Sean.
Yeah, so I'm not saying there aren't policy reasons behind it. I kind of had my campaign hat on there. Yeah, so, I mean, President Trump has been a critic of China from the start. That has been, one of the themes of his campaign. He started out by not getting into PNTR with East Asia. So yeah, I think he's going to. But from a campaign standpoint, the way I think it matters is Trump is going to hang Biden's contacts with China. He's going to hang his vote for normal trade relations in 2000 with China over his head, and it's going from a campaign standpoint. That's how this is going to matter.
Well, that makes sense to me. Mike Dukakis was ahead of George H.W. Bush by 17 points at this point in the 1988 campaign, and then they just destroyed Dukakis, right? They just completely leveled him. Is Joe Biden vulnerable to being leveled in the same way that Dukakis was in 88?
So it's a little bit different in that Donald Trump is a incumbent president, and George H.W. Bush had an opportunity to introduce himself after 8 years as vice president. At the same time, it's going to be the same scorched earth tactics in the election. Joe Biden has had an advantage that he's been able to hide out. It's almost a conservative talking point, but in this case, I think it's true. He's had an advantage in that he's been able to hide out away from crowds and scrutiny. He's not terribly nimble, whatever you think is going on. And so I think he's going to have a harder time defending himself than a lot of candidates like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, who are very good at returning volleys.
Zogby came out with a poll, and I'm not a big fan of Zogby, but they asked the question, do you think Joe Biden has dementia? And I thought to myself, whoa, that broke through to a pollster? Because I've never seen that asked before. Has that concern broken through, or was that Zogby looking for headlines, Sean Trende?
I think that's Zogby looking for headlines. And look, I didn't necessarily mean to imply that he has dementia. Just if you followed Joe Biden's career, he's not Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or one of these overriding intellectuals. Now he has, in a way, that's good because it makes it harder for Trump to hang the dreaded, liberal elitist albatross around his neck. But yeah, I think that's probably Zogby looking for headlines.
All right. So last question: given all the dynamics of the race right now, who do you think Joe Biden selects as his vice president? With people worried about his health, and they are generally not dementia, but they're just worried he's not lost a step but a lap, and his need to absolutely make a statement to the African American vote. Who is it?
I mean, I think the safe pick is Kamala Harris. I think if you were in a closer race and needed to shake things up, maybe you would go with someone like Val Demings or Stacey Abrams. But I think Kamala Harris is the obvious pick.
I think Val Demings might be safer, Sean, because of her law enforcement background.
Yeah.
Is security bubbling up in what you're looking at? Gun purchases have gone through the roof. Is security out there as a lurking concern in 2020?
Yeah, I think it's something that the Trump campaign has to be careful and be a little less ham-fisted about. I think people have sympathy for that St. Louis couple that was brandishing their weapons, but to go out quite as hard, he doesn't do anything at like a 5. Everything goes to 11.
Everything's at 11. Sean Trende, follow him on Twitter at Sean Trende for you Steelers fans. I'll be right back. China is Sparta and America is Athens. So what do we take away from Thucydides?